Right, 22 August 2024. And today I'm going to be giving you a quick update on this Thursday. So there is a lot that is happening. And today I want to look at specifically Hopewell Chin'ono. So Hopewell Chin'ono has been in the news recently because he has had a run-in with Nelson Chamisa. And this is over allegations that Hopewell Chin'ono has been making on Chamisa, the reason why Chamisa is not effective. This has been happening since January. I've published a number of posts where Hopewell Chin'ono says Nelson Chamisa is not doing enough and he needs to make way for a new leader. Hopewell Chin'ono has also said that Nelson Chamisa has been paid a certain amount of money or was paid money which he did not use for the elections, but he used for his own purposes. So these are allegations that are in the public domain, and Chin'ono has promised to provide evidence that Nelson Chamisa has taken money. So on Sunday, Hopewell Chin'ono is going to be speaking on these allegations on a Twitter space, and this Twitter space has already been advertised here by Angle Angle Jed's belts. Gerard Angle Jed's belt. I don't know this guy's real name, but I've attended quite a number of his spaces, and they're very interesting. So this is going to be very interesting because yesterday, Ibo Mandaza failed to provide evidence. So we hope to see what Hopewell is going to say. What is it that Hopewell has got, and what are the allegations of a personal nature that are going to be revealed by Hopewell Chin'ono? Chin'ono is very unhappy because the supporters of Nelson Chamisa have been attacking him. And I hope that we don't get a bombshell from Hopewell Chin'ono. If Chin'ono does not provide any evidence, he's going to lose credibility. And it's going to be very hard for him to come back. So he's basically fighting for his life in this particular situation. So let's see what happens here on Sunday. That is Sunday the 25th at 5 p.m. UK time, which, if I'm not mistaken, is 7 p.m. Zimbabwe time. So on Sunday, thousands and thousands of people are going to be tuning in onto this space that is on X. So let's see what happens. And this is going to be very interesting. I myself believe that we need to get this thing done and dusted. Both parties must come clean. And Hopewell is being accused of being jealousy, of going to Zambia and talking to President Hakainde Hichilema about Chamisa, and of planning to form a political party. So Hopewell needs to come out and say what he's saying without hesitating. Because if he hesitates, he's going to lose credibility in front of thousands and thousands, in fact, millions of Nelson Chamisa supporters. So if he has something to say, we're going to see if he is going to say it on this Sunday. So that is it here. I'll put this on Gambakwe so that you can put a reminder on this account. Gerard Angle Jed's belt. But because I'm blocked, I won't be able to see it. That's a story for another day. Now, but anyway, I'll ask him, Koma Hopewell, to unblock me because I managed to talk to him on his cell phone. And what else has happened is that Hopewell has gone and visited Lance Guma in the UK. So Hopewell Chin'ono is well known around the journalist circles. He's got a big beef with Zimbabweans. They fight everywhere, every opportunity that Zimbabweans gets. He fights Hopewell Chin'ono. And yesterday, Hopewell Chin'ono had to produce his passport. So here, Hopewell Chin'ono had to produce his passport to show that he did not change his name. I'm going to post this story on Gambakwe.com later today, where Hopewell Chin'ono explains that he did not change his name. So the two are fighting very badly, Hopewell and Zimbabweans, and Zimbabweans to try to drag everyone into his fights. So I try to stay away from these two guys. Hopo and Simba. Their fight is so dirty. Then I want to go to, obviously, Lance Guma is one of the most experienced journalists in Zimbabwe. What people don't know is that back in the day, I think way up in the 90s already, Lance Guma was running Nehanda Radio, Nehanda.net. That's one of the earliest online media houses in Zimbabwe, and is UK based. However, Hopewell Chin'ono and myself are probably the only two people who are running media houses that have actually been on the ground in Zimbabwe. People like Chin'ono, like Chikanza, so Simba Chikanza, have actually been operating from outside Zimbabwe ever since they started. People like Lance, I have not seen Lance in Zimbabwe. So most of the actual on-the-ground work has been done by Hopewell. Hopewell has spent a lot of time in Zimbabwe. He's met Nelson Chamisa, he has met diplomats. So when you talk to Hopewell, you're talking to someone who has been inside the country. Myself, I have worked in Zimbabwe, in Harare, in Bulawayo, in all these places after I graduated at NAST. So when you talk to me, you're not talking to someone who's telling you something they saw 10 years ago. You're getting something that happened. And you're talking to someone who has known the people that are actually involved. So it's different when you're talking to someone who's seen people on TV or online, and someone who has actually been with the people. So when I tell you about Tendai Biti, when I tell you about Sisi, when I tell you about Promise Mkwananzi, when I tell you about Chamisa, or when I tell you about Ostalos, I'm not talking about things that I heard. And the same goes for Hopewell Chin'ono. He's not telling you about things that he had. So I don't appreciate it when people just dismiss things. I want people to have an intelligent conversation about what Chin'ono is saying, because I tend to agree with Chin'ono on certain items. For example, where we are right now in the opposition, that's not where we are supposed to be. We're supposed to address the way forward. And I agree with Chin'ono on that. That needs to be addressed. We can't stand here where we are and say we are okay. We're not okay right now as Zimbabwe. Young people need to do better. And what we disagree is probably the approach. Remember, there are commercial interests. So most people online, they don't have a spine. So they will just talk something that will go with the crowd. When you see Hopewell Chin'ono breaking with everyone else, and he says something that you don't agree with, that is a spine. That is what I like. And sometimes I tend to believe that there are certain journalists who just want to be liked or to be loved by a crowd. And then they tend to go with the crowd. They don't interrogate what someone is saying. So I really want us to see what Hopewell Chin'ono is going to say, but I also want Hopewell Chin'ono to provide us with solid evidence, solid information. We don't want allegations without support. So that is where I stand. I'm not on the fence, but I'm somewhere there, somewhere near a fence. So let's go to the next story, which is the Kariba Dam. So we have a massive problem in the Kariba Dam, and the European Union in Zambia has given some information on what is happening at the Kariba Dam. So for the past 7 years, the European Union, the Swedish have been working at the Kariba Dam, trying to revive the dam wall. And the European Union head of cooperation in Zambia, Calaudio Bacigalupi, has said yesterday that the reason why this was done was because if the Kariba Dam was to collapse, over 500,000 Mozambicans would die. If the dam of Kariba was to burst, and 3 million would be displaced. So this was funded through a grant, the current work that is being done in the Kariba Dam. And currently they're on 7 years, and they're going to be completing this project next year, end of December next year, probably, to be done. and they've done a lot of work. These are the Swedish guys over there. They've done a lot of work, and these pillars, that is called a plunge pool. There has been an 85-meter hole that was dug at the bottom there by water over the years, and this thing was just about to collapse. So that's why they had to go and do this work that they've been doing over 7 years. And 85% of the people that work here are Zambians. So it's been an amazing piece of work for these guys that they've been working on over the past 7 years. So let me see what he says here. Let me find a video of him speaking about this situation.
If the dam would have collapsed, there was a huge amount of water that would arrive to Mozambique. That was an estimation made by the World Bank that would have caused 500,000 deaths and 3 million people being, let's say, displaced.
Right, so you see the situation there, a very bad situation over there, but it's being addressed. And let's keep our fingers crossed that nothing happens between now and the end of next year. But I've been at the Kariba, they've done a lot of work. Looks like everything is on track. Then I want to go to the Chinese. So the Chinese in Zimbabwe are complaining. They say that they're being targeted by the Zimbabwe Revenue Authority. So far, 200 high-end vehicles of the Chinese have been impounded in Zimbabwe. And these vehicles have been impounded because when the Chinese import these cars, they use one address, then they move from that address and go and stay at another address. And this is not allowed in Zimbabwe. If you import a car, if you are a foreign person, you're supposed to make sure that when you move your address, you go and update your address. Your papers must match where you live. So the Chinese are complaining. They're saying over 200 high-end vehicles have been impounded this year. And officials are demanding bribes of between 30,000 and 40,000 US dollars to release the cars. They're also saying that over 1,000 Chinese have been affected by the delays in renewal of their permits. And this has resulted in a lot of Chinese right now sitting in remand prison because there's a demand for bribes. And the bribe is normally 1,000 US dollars, which is demanded by the officials at immigration. So they're saying a lot of Chinese are currently sitting in remand prison for 3 to 4 months. So Chinese that do not have any papers are sitting in Zimbabwe remand prison. And there's an association here called the Fujian General Business Association. That is where the allegations are coming from. They're saying that these Zimbabwean guys are giving them hell over there in Zimbabwe. So I don't know what's happening between the Chinese and the Zimbabwe government, but something terrible is going on, and they're complaining very bitterly. Then we'll go to the next story, which is the wife of Comrade Chinx over here, Patricia Simon. Yesterday we gave a different name for the surname, so I don't know whether she's got a different surname or not. But there has been a request to make her a national or a hero. Apparently, she was at war or in the War of Liberation, and she got married over there with Comrade Chinx, one of the top musicians during the war, who was helping these guys to stay motivated. And she got married to him. They came back in 1980 with a baby, and she has died last week or this week. So she's going to be buried today. And there's been a request to make her a national hero. I don't know if they're going to make her a national hero because it seems like to be a national hero, you have to be a guy. So most of the national heroes are men. I've never seen, like last year we had a woman who was a national hero. So I don't know if there is any space for female national heroes. I don't know if Mnangagwa is going to do it because it will take a lot of work to do this, to convince the guys that a female can actually be a national hero. They'll ask, did she carry a gun? Did she lead anyone? Did she have a position? So it's going to become a big mess. in ZANU. It's more like a ZANU PF, national heroes. Now, I want to go to a very sad story here. So this story is trending. There's been a plane crash in Lake Malawi. And this plane crash involves a Zimbabwean man and some Dutch nationals. So Zimbabwean pilot Captain Fungai Jonathan Mjakwara, 50 years old, has crashed his aeroplane, a Cessna C210 plane, which belonged to Nyasa Express. Mjakwara was the managing director of Nyasa Express. And when he crashed, the young man who was with him died. That is Frisco Westham, 29 years old. And then the young woman survived. So there is a survivor in this plane crash. And that survivor is called Charlotte Lemstra. So 24-year-old Charlotte Lemstra survived. And she was rescued by fishermen. So she is the survivor. And these Cessna planes, they're used all over the place. If you go to countries like Botswana and Zambia, you're going to see them all over the place. They're well used, and I don't know how reliable they are. Like, if I was to be asked to go in a small plane, I wouldn't do it myself. I hate those small planes. One time I was in a plane to Durban, and the thing came shaking and making a lot of noises, and I was so uncomfortable. And it was back in the days when we had British Airways. British Airways was the biggest aeroplane air operator here in South Africa before they closed. They've closed here. They are no longer existing here. And plane tickets have gone so high ever since they closed here in South Africa. So let me quickly now look at the H Metro newspaper. There is a jittered man kills lover's child. That is what we have here. Merit defense votes, JT inclusions. So there's nothing here today that I want to cover. I'll cover the H Metro tomorrow because I didn't have enough time to look at this time. These newspapers. I've been extremely busy today. And then I want to look at Sowetan newspaper. If there's anything here. Inside ID for sale scam. 2 arrested men scouted buyers to check documents to legally stay in South Africa. So this is the ID story that is going on and trending here in South Africa for the whole week. I'll give you details on our website later today. And let's see if there's anything of interest in the Star newspaper. The Star newspaper is the biggest newspaper of South Africa. Al Jazeera reporter, I lost my soul inside Gaza. This is crazy, man. Let me tell you something about myself. You've seen that I've never touched on this story. And that is because sometimes I want to keep my personal opinions to myself on certain important topics. So has anyone ever heard me talking about this story? Ever? There is a reason. It's deliberate. And that is because I don't want to really show you what I think about this topic. So that's one topic that I will never address, ever. So I've already addressed it for the last time, ever. So let's go now to the headline. Hopewell Chin'ono to address Chamisa allegations on Sunday. So Hopewell addresses Chamisa on Sunday. That is our headline. Chamisa has been obviously in the news. He's being accused of not doing enough, of taking money. And these allegations were made by Hopewell Chin'ono. So on Sunday, 25th of August at 5 p.m. UK time or 7 p.m. Zimbabwe time, Angle Jed is going to be hosting Hopewell Chin'ono. We're all looking forward to this. And we hope that Hopewell comes out with the allegations and doesn't dilly-dally like what Mandaza did yesterday. Mandaza very disappointing. Yesterday, he didn't say anything. He just talked, but he didn't say anything. So let's see if Hopewell is going to come out with the actual allegations. We want him to show us what it is that he's been saying about Chamisa, and if it's true or not, if it is worth all this trend that we've been seeing. Now, let's go to the comments. Mkoma Gift says, Oppo could be having credible information, but African politics does not take such into consideration. Right? I want us to say, Oppo must show that history must record him as the man that said the truth. So I would like us to see him saying what he has to say. There is no coming back from this. Oppo has already gone on the other side. Oppo and Chamisa's relationship cannot be repaired anymore. So he would rather use this opportunity to show us that he's got something off, which makes sense. And then those are true allegations in Zimbabwe, anything to do with paperwork, ID, passport, birth. Will not attend to you. I witnessed that myself when I went to Zimbabwe to get paperwork. That is the Chinese. And then Mukoma Peter says, Gilbert Tarupo, tell him, what did Gilbert Tarupo tell me? You studied well, but it looks like you are being overambitious in finding yourself. There are many Zimbabweans who are much better than you, but do contribute at different levels. Yes, there are many Zimbabweans who are better than Gambakwe. But let me explain to you the difference between Gambakwe and everyone else. The difference between me and everyone else is called staying power. So myself, you see me in the morning, you see me in the evening, every single day. When I started out in 2010, the only people who used to watch my channel is me, my wife, my cousins, and a few guys. So every time I made a video, there'll be 5 people who watched it. So over the past 14 years, what I've learned is that if you drive slowly and steadily, and you keep going, eventually you'll be the only man on the road. That is what happens. So what most people do is they come with like a Ferrari, they drive very fast, and they pass you. And after 2 days, you're gonna find them parked on the side of the road. The journey that we're on is long. We are on a long journey. What we're going to be doing here in Zimbabwe will take 15 years to 20 years. In 2040, that is when we're going to have a fresh, free election in Zimbabwe. Most people don't get it. It will take a lot of time. If I do what I'm doing now for the next 2 years, you are not going to say they are much better Zimbabweans than you. So I just want you to understand what is a moment of truth. And the thing about me is I deal with a lot of people at a personal level. I know the people that we're talking about. Most of them do not want to take that extra step. So I think it can mean if that is called motivational speaking. Let me give you some motivational speaking. Most Zimbabweans lack the ability to take the extra step, which is when you are doing gym and you're on 10 reps and your coach says go 12 reps. When you get to 11 reps, most Zimbabweans stop there. Whereas the most work and the most effect comes from that 12th rep. You understand? So where we are going, there are going to be billionaires created. Zimbabwe is going to do very, very well. The country is amazing. But we miss, most guys are going to stop when they're supposed to continue. And I always tell people, don't stop. So let's not stop what we're doing. We're not the best, but eventually we're going to get there. And we've proved it because since December, I've been streaming here every day. There is no single day that passes where we don't have 100,000 views on Gambakwe. There are many to my channel which came, right? Including the Zimbabwe government. In last year, just before the elections, the Zimbabwe government created over 200 YouTube channels to counter us. And all of them have fallen away. They have put Gambakwe, people on Gambakwe to come and work at Gambakwe. So I wanted to tell you this. At one point, I had 30 guys working at Gambakwe. They put a few spies to work on Gambakwe. And one thing about me, I'll be knowing that this guy is a spy. But there is only one thing that a spy can never do. A Zimbabwean spy is missing on one thing. They cannot outwork the guys at Gambakwe. So the way we work is we do a lot of work and we give most of our stuff for free away. Our content, we give it away for free. And we work early and we work late and work throughout the day and work hard. And most of the guys from Zimbabwe intelligence, when they are put out to do work, they can't do it. They cannot stand that ability to work. They work like employees. We don't work like employees. We actually believe in the thing that we're doing. You saw me doing a protest. You saw me traveling to Zambia. You saw me traveling to Botswana. I actually believe in the change that we want to see in Zimbabwe. I'm not doing this as a business. Did I just overdo this explanation, or did I just give you too much? Chamorro said, did you always hide from this question? What is the question? What is the progress on the Renform case? I don't know. It's got nothing to do with me. We already given you guys everything that you wanted to know. Then Mkoma Shadrack says, Chamisa is lovable. Hope and you, I don't see, you didn't finish your sentence. I actually like both guys. I like everyone who is in the public space right now. It's very difficult to be in the public space in Zimbabwe. Every day I wake up, I know that that could be my last day. Can you imagine how that feels? Can you guys imagine if you walked around knowing that every moment could be your last moment? That's how we live. So I don't know. So thank you very much, everyone, guys. I know that I tended to ramble there at the end and give you what is called phoning myself. I did phone myself a lot, like 2 phones. I had one call on my left, one phone on my right, calling myself. But all I can tell you is that many Zimbabweans who are much better than ourselves have failed on this one thing, which is to consistently show up. If you do what I'm telling you right now, if you consistently show up, if you leave everything else and focus on this, focusing on the change that we want to see in Zimbabwe, eventually you'll be on top. And I'm not talking on top of Zimbabwe, I'm talking on top of everything. Last man standing, that is what I call it. Thank you very much, everyone, for watching. And I really enjoy talking to you. I'll see you in the evening as we give you more updates on the 50-year strategy. Thank you very much, everyone. And